would request Mr. Anton Khlopkov and Ms. Daria to please come on the stage.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان صدق الله العظيم.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and Assalamu alaikum. I, Akasha Muhammad, Research Officer, Strategic Vision Institute, welcome you all to the International Conference on Pakistan-Russia Relations amid Transforming Global Order. The conference is organized in collaboration with Gorchakov Fund and Center for Energy and Security Studies, Russia. Respected guests, we are witnessing a shift in the global order that has been prevalent since the end of Cold War. The divergence from established order is marked by China's rise and Russia's resurgence, and today we spotlight the shifting global order with a focus on Pakistan's strategic role. With distinctive characteristics like the 70% of its population under the age of 30 and abundant natural resources, Pakistan is recalibrating its priorities. This conference emphasizes the growing partnership between Pakistan and Russia amid these transformative changes. Celebrating the 75th anniversary of bilateral diplomatic ties, there is a renewed commitment of collaboration as Russia is playing an active role in reshaping the new world order. The conference aims to facilitate dialogue between Russian and Pakistani experts, exploring collaboration in diplomacy, education, defense, and peaceful nuclear energy applications. Addressing nuclear risks in conflict, we seek discussion on conflict resolution and international cooperation for global peace. Once again, I welcome you all to this international conference on Pakistan-Russia relations amid transforming global order, and I look forward to a fruitful and enlightening discussion from the stellar panel of experts that we have lined up. The inaugural session will comprise of welcome remarks from executives of each of the collaborating think tanks, followed by the keynote address by our worthy chief guest. We begin the proceeding of the conference with welcome remarks from Executive Director, Strategic Vision Institute, Dr. Naeem Salik. Dr. Salik has previously served as Director of Arms Control and Disarmament Affairs at Strategic Plans Division. He has taught at several universities in Pakistan. Dr. Salik has been a visiting scholar at the School of Advanced International Studies at Johns Hopkins University and a guest scholar at the Brookings Institution, Washington, D.C., beside being a visiting fellow at Stanford University and Stimson Center. His published work includes 4 books and over 40 research articles. I request Dr. Naeem Salik to the podium for his welcome remarks. Sir.
Thank you, Akash. Assalamu alaikum and good morning. Visiting Russian scholars and experts, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to extend a warm welcome on behalf of Strategic Vision Institute and on my personal behalf to the Russian delegates and Pakistani participants to the 2-day conference on Pakistan-Russia relations amid a transforming global order. organized by SVI Islamabad in collaboration with Gorchakov Fund and Center for Energy and Security Studies, Russia. We are happy to host distinguished scholars from some of the most prestigious Russian think tanks and universities. The main objective of the conference is to promote greater understanding and goodwill between Pakistani and Russian academics, scholars, and analysts to widen and deepen the bilateral relationship. We are also in the process of institutionalizing the relationship between SVI and our Russian counterparts. I am confident that such interaction will be sustained in the future and would become a permanent feature in our bilateral relationship. This conference is very timely in view of the great turbulence and growing instability in the world, with active conflicts in various regions and emerging strategic alignments and realignments, especially in the Asia-Pacific region. We are already witnessing the genocidal conflict between the powerful Israeli military on the one side and the ill-equipped and ragtag Hamas militia, with the innocent men, women, and especially children paying a heavy cost. More disturbing is the complete apathy and lack of concern for horrific loss of human lives and misery being inflicted on people of Gaza, while the United Nations and the world community at large are watching helplessly and are unable to bring this conflict to an end. In this uncertain environment, exchange of views between Pakistani and Russian experts is of paramount importance. The conference agenda covers a wide canvas, and we are looking forward to a very positive and fruitful discussion. We will have an interactive mode of discussion and would try to accommodate as many questions as possible from the audience who are attending in person and those who have joined us online, including many overseas participants. However, I would like to request the participants to keep their questions brief and to the point to allow more people to ask questions. May I also request that the questions asked should be related to the subjects of the respective panels, and irrelevant and controversial questions are avoided to help us conduct this important interaction in a cordial atmosphere. I once again very warmly welcome all those who have found time to join us today here for this session, and especially our guests from Russia who have traveled to join us here for this conference. And I am looking forward to a very fruitful discussion session today and tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we will hear from Ms. Daria Saprynskaya, who is the project director at the Gorchakov Fund. Furthermore, she is a researcher at the Institute of Asian and African Studies at Lomonosov Moscow State University. She is also the co-chairman of the Eurasian Youth Assemblies Coordination Council. I invite Ms. Daria Saprynskaya to the podium for her welcome remarks. Ma'am.
Thank you. First of all, it's very hard to give a speech after such nice words towards Russia and towards our relations. Thank you. Dear colleagues and guests, on behalf of the Gorchakov Fund, let me express my gratitude to all today's experts and organization committee. Yesterday we experienced marvelous performance that shown us cultural diversity, respect for tradition, and recognition of modernity. That's very important in Pakistan, and I would say that these principles say a lot about our similarities. And I think it creates many intersection points for us. This conference is devoted to the broad range of topics according our relations, starting from global agenda to sustainable development and education. And As a representative of the Gorchakov Fund, I would like to once again express my gratitude to Dr. Naeem Salik, Executive Director of Strategic Vision Institute, and Mr. Anton Khlopkov, Director of CENESS, to become a group of co-organizers and moreover co-thinkers and co-listeners to each other to make this program, I believe, very worthy. Now I would like to highlight some ideas for the future good discussions that we experience, first of all, through our work experience, the Gorchakov Fund with work with Pakistani side. About global agenda. Panel according this topic, and that panel gives floor to Mr. Fyodor Lukyanov, Director of the Valdai Club, and Mr. Ambassador Kazi Halilullah, and Executive Director of CENESS. And I suppose that during this session there's going to be a very interesting discussion. However, from the experience of our work, I would say that mostly we speak about this topic every time, and to my mind, every session, every school that we make in our fund, or it can be, I don't know, different panels according different programs, can be without that topic. However, we still see this, we say about the transformation, but it's hard to predict, and it's hard to say what the upcoming changes gonna be. And it's like to my mind, unveil all of the black swans. However, it has become rather obvious that there is a shift or transition from the old power centers, like a heartlands, to the new one, representing mainly by Asian economies. In this regard, Russia itself and our programs, I believe, in Gorchakov Fund are trying to demonstrate a stick allegiance towards traditional Asian political and economic regimes. Thus, our relations this year were marked by 75th anniversary, with Pakistan, of the establishment of our diplomatic ties. We have done a lot just in this year, including signing the long-term contract for oil supply from Russia to Pakistan. Historically, we have our very connected military cooperation, and it's still on. And not just in the form of arms trade, of course, but we have a historical connection starting from Soviet Union till now, and there is a mutual events and a lot of mutual benefits. We have joint military drills, friendship, and the last one was in 2021, and Navy one. So it means that Russia perception of on our relations is based on the first of all mutual history, and this is a like ongoing long joint journey, and it has political, pragmatic, realistic approach as well. That is for tradition. And the second point is about innovation. We all live in a transforming world. Of course, we have AI, we have the latest trends, sustainable development, green energy, approaches to the nuclear energy, new forms of education, and so on. And all of it formulates, as I believe, our mutual perception of the future. Gives us a certain perspective for our relations. However, this aspect, to my mind, mainly have a global vision. We still do not have our own notions for each event, for each action, and mostly global vision is constructed by the Western economies. That means that in upcoming event, in the future, we need to basically proclaim our own joint approach to variety of topics, to a global problems. I suppose we will do it during this session. And at the end of my speech, I would like to share with you who we are. Basically, you joined this event, and thank you, but probably not all of you know about knows about the Gorchakov Fund. So please, can you show a bit of presentation? Okay, and the next slide then, and the next. Yes, so historically we were founded by the Foreign Ministry Affairs. And the next slide. Our fund structure based on certain management and interesting directions. Next, please. We have two work directions. The first one is our own programs, and the second is grants. The next one. We have a lot of annual events, and one of them was Asian Dialogue, which was actually devoted to South Asia, and representatives of SVI were invited to this program. The next one, and the next one. And also we have grant support. It's very important because not every organization or fund in Russia gives money to foreign institutes. And we are just, I would say, one of three of those organizations in Russia. The next. We have a very broad expert mobility. And I would affairs with implementing public diplomacy. It's very honorable but very hard thing, and we are trying to bring different minds, bring different experts together. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would like to invite Mr. Anton Khlopkov. Mr. Khlopkov is the director at the Center for Energy and Security Studies and member of the advisory board under the Security Council of the Russian Federation. He is also a member of the UN Secretary General's Advisor Board on Disarmament Matters and co-chair of the Moscow Non-Proliferation Conference. I invite Mr. Anton Khlopkov to the podium for his welcome remarks. Sir.
Thank you for your kind introduction. And very special warm thanks, Dr. Salik, to you and your colleagues at the SVI, at the Strategic Vision Institute, for your cooperation. I think we met, Dr. Salik, first time with you in 2010 at the Moscow Non-Proliferation Conference, and it's a great pleasure and honor to work with you personally and with organizations which you represent over the years. And it's a very special pleasure for us to expand and strengthen our relations with SVI since you became the Director General of the organization. As a minor partner of organizers of this workshop, would like to say a few words about why we believe it is important and what kind of issues we decided to include to the agenda, though of course you saw them from the invitation. First, this meeting take place not in the vacuum. As it was already a couple of times mentioned, this is a very special year for Russia-Pakistani relations because this is the year of 75th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations between our countries. First. Second, the meeting take place not in the vacuum because just last week here in Islamabad, the 10th meeting of the Pakistani-Russian Joint Working Group on combating international terrorism and other challenges to securities took place. This is one of the important elements of Russia-Pakistan dialogue and cooperation, which is combating international terrorism. Next, early this month, the third batch of the crude oil was shipped from Russia to Pakistan, and this is quite a new element of Russia-Pakistani cooperation. And since we institutionally focus a lot on energy issues, I mean, I personally hope that it will become one of the prospective areas for our country's cooperation for the upcoming future. And here I would like to say that for the sustainability of the relations, for the long-term future, people-to-people cooperation and contacts are critically important. And this is where we institutionally at CENESS, at the Center for Energy and Security Studies, are trying to contribute. We are very pleased that on a regular basis, representatives of the leading Pakistani think tanks as well as governmental agencies take active part in the Moscow Non-Proliferation Conference, which we organize averagely every 30 months. And I hope very much, Dr. Salik, that you and your colleagues, as well as many other Pakistani experts, will take place in the next conference, which we will host next spring. And I'm particularly pleased that during that conference, we will have a special session on education and expert-to-experts exchanges, because this is, I think, the niche where we experts and intellectual could contribute. This is where I think a lot of work has already been done, but I think this is exactly the area where some more efforts from both sides are needed if we are serious about sustainability of our relations. So I would like to conclude my introductory remarks again with warm and sincere thanks to the co-organizers of this conference, SVI and Gorchakov Fund. It's always a pleasure to work with both organizations, and I hope that this meeting will contribute to strengthening the networks between Russian and Pakistani experts, because as Ms. Saprynskaya already mentioned, Gorchakov Fund is becoming the leading Russian organization to promote different type of fellowships, expert-to-expert communication between Russian colleagues and other countries, and I hope this meeting will serve as a focal point to expand this kind of cooperation and this kind of exchanges. So thanks to all of us, to all of you for joining this meeting, and I'm looking forward to productive discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have Lieutenant General Khalid Ahmed Kidwai, Nishan-e-Imtiaz, Hilal-e-Imtiaz Military, retired, among us as keynote speaker of this conference. After the May 1998 nuclear tests, Lieutenant General Kidwai pioneered the establishment of Pakistan's National Command Authority and was appointed the founding Director General of Strategic Plans Division in December 1998. He served as DG SPD for 15 years and since 2014 is an advisor to the National Command Authority. As DG SPD, he conceived, articulated, and executed Pakistan's nuclear policy and deterrence doctrine comprehensively. He translated these doctrines into a robust nuclear force structure, oversaw and ensured the establishment of Army, Navy, and Air Force strategic force commands, including the development and operationalization of a variety of nuclear weapons. He put in place state-of-the-art command and control systems, as well as an effective nuclear security regime for Pakistan's strategic assets. The resultant policy of full-spectrum deterrence ensures Pakistan's national security, strategic stability, and peace in South Asia. Lieutenant General Kidwai is also the architect of Pakistan's Civilian Nuclear Energy Vision 2050, which will provide Pakistan with 42,000 megawatts of electricity, as well as the National Space Program 2040. All in all, Lieutenant General Kidwai built a professional SPD as a critical national institution that has earned national and international respect. In recognition of his devotion to duty, strategic vision, and outstanding leadership of Pakistan's nuclear and space programs, Lieutenant General Khalid Ahmed Kidwai has been awarded Pakistan's highest civil award, the Nishan-e-Imtiaz, the second highest civil award, Hilal-e-Imtiaz, in addition to Hilal-e-Imtiaz Military. I would request Lieutenant General Khalid Ahmed Kidwai to please come to the podium for his keynote address. Sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dr. Naeem Ahmed Salik, the Executive Director, Strategic Vision Institute, SVI, respected guests and academics from Russia, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good morning. At the outset, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to our Russian guests for being with us this morning. We are grateful that you find the time from your very busy schedules to be in Pakistan. We are honored by your presence. I hope that besides the serious business of participating in the two-day conference, SVI will give you ample opportunity to see and enjoy some parts of Pakistan, a bit of Pakistani culture, a touch of life in Pakistan, and lots of Pakistani hospitality and our cuisine. I'm sure that you will carry with you happy memories of your stay in Pakistan, and you are welcome to come again and again. I would also like to extend my sincere appreciation and felicitations to the SVI for organizing this important conference in collaboration with 4 highly rated Russian think tanks. Under the brilliant leadership of Dr. Naeem Salik, I think the SVI has come a long way in establishing itself as one of Pakistan's leading think tanks. Joint events and conferences like this one involving experts and scholars from both countries augur well for the relationship between the two countries and will promote better understanding of each other's viewpoint and worldview on a variety of issues of mutual concern and interest. I sincerely wish that this interaction between the academics and intellectuals of Pakistan and Russia will lead to more frequent exchange of visits by both sides. The theme of the conference, that is Pakistan-Russia relations amid transforming global order, I think has been well selected, keeping in view the rapidly transforming, rapidly evolving global order. Major global events like the ongoing wars in Ukraine and Palestine, the emergence of important forums like the SCO, BRICS, Quad, and AUKUS, the de-dollarization drive, the recent meeting of President Xi Jinping and President Biden with some melting of ice, to name just a few, are becoming agents of transformation in the emerging global order. Our part of the world's South Asia is invariably affected by these developments, especially ever since President Obama's policy of pivot to Asia took root and started to generate strategic effects in our region. Earlier, the US policies of exceptionalism of giving India a free pass or exemption on trade with the nuclear suppliers group exacerbated Pakistan's security concerns and continues to exert pressure on Pakistan's strategic response options. It is in this larger picture of a transforming global order that Pakistan-Russia relations need to be seen and understood. In the past, our relations have seen cycles of ups and downs, though I can say with confidence that as of now and for some years, the relationship has matured and is on a steady growth trajectory with a positive curve. While this relationship started on a positive note, but then somewhere along the way, it unfortunately dipped downwards due to the vagaries of the then prevailing geopolitical and security environments, and sometimes misunderstandings. However, a relatively high point came in 1965 when the then USSR oversaw peace parleys between India and Pakistan in the aftermath of the 1965 war, which resulted in a peace agreement of sorts between India and Pakistan at Tashkent. This led to the warming up of relations for the next few years until they experienced strong headwinds during and preceding the Indian-Pakistan War in 1971. However, in 1972, the Pakistani government revived the relationship once again. This period was symbolized by the construction of the Pakistan Steel Mill at Karachi by the Soviet Union, and there was cooperation in other areas, including defense as well. I recall the professional excitement when I was a young captain in 1973, recently repatriated after being a prisoner of war for 2 years in India, and my medium regiment artillery was equipped with the Russian 130 millimeter gun. It was Pakistan's longest shooting artillery gun at the time, with a maximum range of around 30 kilometers, and the regiment took much pride in that fact. Also added to the gun were the massive Kraz gun towers and the gas jeeps. In the civil sector, the Skoda car became fairly popular. All of these are pleasant memories of a positive Pakistan-Russia relationship, even though the USSR had backed India in the 1971 war. These positive trends were once again disrupted by the decade-long war in Afghanistan from 1979 to 1989. The after effects of the Afghan war lingered on not only due to internal instability in Russia and the Central Asian states following the breakup of the Soviet Union, but also in Pakistan, the spillover effects of the influx of Afghan refugees, drugs, and weapons. Pakistan continues to grapple with these issues even today. The Pakistan-Russia relationship once again took a positive turn in the beginning of this century, and this has been by far the longest period of upturn of bilateral relations. It now appears that there is a genuine desire in both countries to continue moving on this positive curve. And much credit for this certainly goes to President Vladimir Putin for his personal interest and contribution towards the improvement of Pakistan-Russia relations. It was on President Putin's watch that Pakistan became a member of the SCO with Russian and Chinese support. It was also on his watch that Pakistan has received prompt Russian response whenever it needed to import wheat in periods of food insecurity. More recently, Pakistan has received 2 shipments of oil from Russia, and agreements of more such shipments are underway. And the next critical agreement likely to be finalized in the near future would be for the procurement of LPG from Russia. The cooperation between the two militaries is also growing, with soldiers from both sides visiting each other's country or undertaking joint training exercises. In 2021 alone, 1,600 Pakistani military personnel visited Russia to participate in various joint exercises. And evidence of the growing goodwill for Russia can be judged from the fact that the otherwise boisterous Pakistani media does not run any stories which might project Russia in a negative light. Since the start of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Pakistan has not voted in favor of any UN resolution against Russia, despite international pressure that it has had to endure. The record of the UN voting patterns also shows that Pakistan is among the top countries that have voted in sync with Russia on various international issues, showing the convergence in thinking and policies between the two countries. The bilateral consultative process between the two countries is firmly in place, with regular high-level meetings. Similar conversations are also regularly held between the two militaries. Pakistan is conscious of the fact that Russia underwrites security and stability in Central Asia, which is Pakistan's close neighborhood, and stability in Central Asia also impacts positively on the broader regional stability. There is also a congruence of policies between Russia, Pakistan, and China on the critical issue of peace and stability in Afghanistan. Now, in view of the implementation of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, the CPEC, vast opportunities exist for greater connectivity between the Eurasian region, linking Pakistan with Russia through road and rail networks. This will boost trade and economic development in the whole region, given the potential of the Eurasian region to become a vibrant economic hub for international economic growth. At the global level, Pakistanis deeply appreciate President Putin's strong stand against Islamophobia and the incidents of desecration of the Holy Quran in some Scandinavian countries. Now, having said that, there are still some areas which have not received due attention and need a focused approach to include, among others, education and exchange of students. And I'm happy to note that this is being given requisite importance in this conference, as is evident from the fact that a dedicated panel has been reserved for discussion on this issue. It is also imperative that the frequency of interactions like this conference, providing greater exchange of ideas, promoting collaborative research projects, and discussions between scholars and experts is enhanced, in order to provide intellectual support to greater mutual understanding, which in turn will contribute positively towards further strengthening of bilateral relations. The growing strategic affinity between Russia and Pakistan's closest strategic partner, China, also generate positive vibes in Pakistan. I am happy to note again that Russia respects Pakistan's sovereignty and strategic autonomy. By the same token, Pakistan does not particularly grudge Russia's long-standing strategic relationships with some countries in our neighborhood. However, we do hope that while providing high-end military hardware to those countries, Russia would very carefully consider the likely repercussions on Pakistan's security and regional stability. I am again glad to note that there are 2 dedicated sessions in this conference, scheduled one each for today and tomorrow, on the broader aspects of nuclear energy and nuclear risks. One is titled Nuclear Energy and Sustainable Development, Russian and Pakistani Experience, and the other one is Reducing Nuclear Risks at the Time of Conflict Escalation. Since I have been associated with Pakistan's broader nuclear program, I would like to say a few words on each, perhaps as precursor to the panel discussions. What are the emerging challenges for Pakistan, especially in the context of its national security interests, measured whether in economic terms, including the contribution of nuclear energy for peaceful purposes, or in military terms, including its capability as a nuclear weapons power as a tool of strategic deterrence? The 2 givens of Pakistan's strategic environments are: 1, that Pakistan enjoys a relatively advantageous position because of its geostrategic location as a potential trade and security corridor, and 2, Pakistan is a responsible nuclear weapons power with the additional desire, capabilities, and a visionary nuclear energy program to further its objectives in the field of nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. While debating the various possibilities of a nation's nuclear capabilities, I would like to say with confidence that for Pakistan, whether in economic terms or in security terms, acquisition of the nuclear capability as the 7th nuclear power in the world has been a major strategic advantage and has worked well to ameliorate many of Pakistan's concerns in both these areas, civil and military. In military terms, Pakistan's nuclear capability has proven beyond doubt to be a viable strategic solution in providing security through deterrence and satisfactorily addressing Pakistan's long-standing dilemma of relative conventional forces asymmetry with its adversary. Now, because of a robust nuclear weapons capability articulated through the policy of full spectrum deterrence, Pakistan is secure from possible aggression by its larger neighbor. I have said this on a number of occasions and would like to repeat for emphasis that Pakistan's nuclear capability as the great equalizer has proved to be an instrument of peace enforcement in South Asia. Pakistan's nuclear weapons can therefore be regarded as weapons of peace. However, as will be discussed in tomorrow's session on reducing nuclear risks at the time of conflict escalation, the nuclear capabilities in South Asia, in the absence of conflict resolution to long-standing disputes, do not come without risks of miscalculation, misunderstandings, or miscommunication in a conflict situation. The 2 escalatory episodes of February 2019 and March 2022, both undertaken by India as high-risk, irresponsible adventures, highlight the need for a mature and responsible risk reduction mechanism to be put in place between Pakistan and India. The earlier, the better. On this account, Pakistan has never been found wanting in making any number of nuclear risk reduction proposals, including the well-conceived and well-articulated long-standing strategic restraint regime. I shall leave it at that. In economic terms, Pakistan's civil nuclear energy program is in a potentially take-off stage with its Nuclear Energy Vision 2050, which stands duly approved by Pakistan's National Command Authority as far back as 2011. The Nuclear Energy Vision 2050 envisages the provision of 42,000 megawatts, the equivalent of almost 10 Kalabagh dams, of clean, safe, and relatively cheap energy to Pakistan's economic needs through the sequential installation of a series of nuclear power plants across the country, well balanced in all 4 provinces. A salient feature of Nuclear Energy Vision 2050 is that very early on, after the installation of the first few pairs of nuclear power plants, the program has the potential to earn for itself and become self-financing so as not to place any financial burden on limited government resources. Pakistan's 7 nuclear power plants, including 4 at Chashma and 3 at Karachi, are a pioneering part of the Nuclear Energy Vision 2050 and have gone a long way in improving Pakistan's capability of safe, clean, and efficient operations. Chashma 5 is next in line, and given adequate governmental support, the program can go a long way in ameliorating Pakistan's energy needs. The global politics of embargoes and restrictions inhibited Pakistan's ventures into this area for many years to Keynote 1 only, until China became Pakistan's reliable partner in the development of nuclear power. A 325 megawatt pressurized water reactor PWR, Chashma 1, was set up at Chashma in collaboration with China. Chashma 2, Chashma 3, Chashma 4, Canop 2 and Canop 3 followed, making it a total of 3600 megawatts. K2 and K3 are modern Generation 3 plants. As I said, Chashma 5 is now next in line. The burning issue of climate change and the threat of rise in global temperature has now come to the rescue of nuclear energy, which for some decades was being perceived as a high-risk technology due to three major accidents at the 3 Mile Islands in 1979, Chernobyl in 1986, and Fukushima in 2011. Pakistan's experience and clean record in running its nuclear power plants with professional expertise, strictly in line with IAEA guidelines, allows one to dream on that Pakistan will succeed in establishing nuclear energy for peaceful purposes as its main effort. In this context, it is now internationally well recognized that Pakistan has taken stringent measures to put in place a professionally strong, state-of-the-art nuclear safety and security regime. In the light of what I have said, I think that the topics chosen for the two sessions on nuclear aspects for today and tomorrow are most pertinent, relevant, and ought to generate much interest while discussing the experiences of both Russia and Pakistan in these areas. My best wishes for the eminent participants and for the success of this SVI-sponsored important conference. And once again, a very warm welcome to our guests from Russia. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, sir. As always, it was indeed a privilege to hear from you. Now I would request SVI research team, Russian guests, and the speakers to please come in front of stage for a group photo. SVI research team, Russian guests, and the speakers, please.